You guys know what this represents?
Well,
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
what's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
The Senate committee will now hear from Jacob Lawson, Climate ISS Chief Coordinator. May the record reflect that he was nearly 1 hour late.
Mr. President, one of our thermospheric satellites malfunctioned over Afghanistan.
So your proposal is what?
We shut down all satellites.
I don't need to remind all of you how many people died from catastrophic climate conditions.
Make sure there's no further incidents.
It was intentional.
There's potential for catastrophic weather events on a global scale.
A geostorm. We have to shut the system down.
The only one who has the kill codes is the president.
Jake, if you can't stop it, no one can.
3, 2, 1. Come on, baby.
Hold on!
Barrier.
So were you here when they evacuated you guys?
Yeah.
And what time they came at 2?
Are we being recorded?
Yeah, is that all right?
No,
I'm just doing it for documentary.
I don't want
You're not in the picture.
It was about 2:30 a.m. that they told us.
And how do they notify you?
The police came
We
around.
called first, and then the cars came around.
And did the fires come from the sky? I mean, how did the fires start?
Is this a personal thing for you, or?
Yeah, I'm just documenting it. I work for an insurance company.
A lot of smoke. Winds are swirling. 80-mile-an-hour gusts.
But it wasn't that windy. I live.
No,
No,
it was
it
very
was 80
windy.
miles per
Things
hour.
were blowing all over.
But I'm down here on by Bennett Valley, and
over
we didn't
here,
have any
it was-
winds there
it
at
was
all.
like- it was very
Yeah,
windy.
so we were in an area when we
Yeah.
evacuated. There's no winds either. Up here, it was blowing up to 80 miles an hour because things were blowing all over the place. So I thought
Yeah.
the roof was going to blow off.
So
Oh
we
my
woke
gosh.
up to go outside to secure the stuff from the wind.
That's right. A lot of smoke and ash. Then the cops came by in the cars and said, "Get out."
Were you able to grab anything?
Toilet kit.
Oh my gosh.
Back.
Well, I've got a bunch of donated clothes if anybody needs clothes.
Well, thank you.
I'm taking them down to the Veterans Building down there. I'm sorry, you guys, you've lost
That's
it.
okay, thanks.
I was just in Houston with Hurricane Harvey, and
What do you do?
I'm in insurance,
Oh, okay.
and so I was just
What's your
there.
insurance company?
State Farm.
Okay.
What do you guys have?
Farmers.
Farmers?
But my guy, my friend for 55 years, he's our insurance agent. I grew up with him.
And are you covered?
Yeah.
Good, because the people in Houston aren't. They don't cover flood insurance.
Well, we didn't have earthquake insurance.
Water.
So we were expecting an earthquake, not something like this.
Oh no, this.
Because if you have a fire, usually the fire department comes and puts the fire out and at least saves some of your house. But in this case, I can see that the fire line was made here because nothing burned from here south. They let everything burn up to here, and I think that's where the line was drawn there. So they let it go.
But how did the trees stay with the fire being so intense it melts the cars? How did the trees not get burned if this was a fire?
A lot of the trees did.
But here, I mean, look at right there. There's trees still have bushes on them and stuff, but that was burned down to the chimneys.
Yeah.
This thing, I mean, to melt metal is 3,000 degrees to melt cars. I mean, look at this car. The rim's all the way down. I mean, this was torched. That's what I'm saying. They've never seen anything like this before.
The only way I recognize it.
And I guess Orange County's on fire now too down in LA. They got a similar type of event going on there.
Still going north up here too. I hear Mendocino and Ukiah.
Oh God.
Geigerville.
Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah, this is big. This is.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah, we always thought the Oakland fire,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a wipeout, but I think this is bigger than the Oakland fire. Much greater.
Well, do you remember 2007? I was up in my ranch in Mendocino. I mean, look at this house. This house has got touched here, but it's still fine, and there's still branches, but across the street, it's completely torched.
Yeah, but I think that's where they were drawing the line.
Right there.
Yeah.
But you'd see water. You'd see water damage from all the water they poured on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the
The Earth does not just completely heat up. And here we see a fire from Fort McMurray that happened last year in August that started as a 1 kilometer fire and grew into a 2-month-long fire evacuations. But more clearly, this channel Truth has come out and is starting to question what type of fire. And if you take a look at this picture right here, here's a bedroom community that was devastated, but look at the devastation. The trees are still up, there's still life around, except the homes are devastated like a directed energy weapon. And this is the question I'm asking. Did they use a directed energy weapons to start the fires and continue the fires going on in Fort McMurray? And there was also another fire up in Canada. This was August of last year. And look at this house here. One house gets absolutely pulverized and destroyed, and the next house next to it is completely fine. And we see this time and time again. Cars are absolutely incinerated, but look in the back. There's a wooden fence still standing. How can that be? And it seems like these, as Truth documents here in a little bit, that the weather came out of nowhere. And I'll do the timeline and show it was a complete surprise to the fire departments and kept growing. Here we see absolute devastation, but then we see trees. This was in May. It was 86 degrees in May in Canada, folks. Look at the inside of this car. Doesn't this remind you of 9/11 when cars were charred outside of the 9/11 buildings? Look at this house right next to it. Absolute devastation, but the other house is still perfect. How can this be fine? And then we have disaster everywhere.
smoke and glow. Red glow, but you didn't see any flames. And I told my wife, as soon as we see flames, we're getting out of here, but the calls came in before that. And then we thought it was over there. We thought it was still further away in the next valley over and not necessarily coming up, but we didn't know that there weren't firefighters there fighting it because they were so spread thin. I don't think they set up to fight the fire to save property. I think they set up fire lines to set up and save sections. And they would let other sections just go.
Well, and also they had so many to deal with at once. I mean, they had so many calls. They just had to go spread out everywhere, and they couldn't focus on one area.
Not blaming them. There wasn't enough of them.
No,
they couldn't do it. So they probably were smart in the way they did it, and you just got sacrificed. This is just sacrifice.
So when you saw the fire come this way from the north, where was your house, sir?
Over there by those redwoods in the corner.
This started May 1, and now this is May 16th on the timeline. This is very important. Notley says the air quality in Fort McMurray is at dangerous levels and is hampering efforts to get the residents back to their homes. The Air Quality Health Index scale is normally 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst, but the reading that morning was 38. 38, over 300% greater than their highest scale of the health index goes up to. What is in this stuff, people? Why is this happening a week and a half or more? So I want to give you a little background about this fire here. The Washington Post is picking it up, but I'm being told by many people that the national news is covering this very lightly. Same with Hurricane Harvey. You don't hear about Harvey anymore after the after effects. Puerto Rico is much more in the news, but getting down here, as the Washington Post article says, it's 107,000 acres. Crews are fighting 17 wildfires. I heard there was up to 60 strikes that came out of nowhere. It's really serious, moving fast. The heat, the lack of humidity, and the winds are all driving a very dangerous situation. The pace of the burn took firefighters by surprise. That's what all of them say. They'd never seen anything like this. Fire torched 20,000 acres in 12 hours. A phenomenal rate of growth, Cal Fire's Cox called it. So here you see the fires that were spot fires, folks. That didn't burn and then burn to one area and to the other. I mean, there wasn't embers blowing from Napa to Sonoma to Vacaville to Santa Rosa, what they're trying to tell you. Now they're trying to say there was arson. I'm getting reports of jeans with matches in them on the road to suggest there was arson and stuff like that. That's a bunch of baloney. It's scary times, looks like Armageddon, they're saying here. And here's what I want to get to. It looks like a bombing run. Said winemaker in Sonoma County, just chimneys and burned out cars. So we go over to the New York Times article. Everything was incinerated. There's like a lot of hyperbole in this article here, but you can see, here's the cars being damaged. They're showing the combination of wind and fire was unstoppable in the Coffee subdivision. These are some of the pictures I'm providing here as well. It looks like a bomb went off, a nuke bomb. All new, folks. New type of weather war terrorism, geoterrorism, with the movie Geostorm coming up in a few days. Evidence of the fire's intensity was everywhere around Coffee Park, which residents described as an apocalyptic scene. The aluminum wheels on cars melted and dripped down driveways like tiny rivers of mercury before hardening. Piles of bottles melded together in a tangle so contorted to look like a Picasso. Plastic garbage bins were reduced to mere stains in the pavement. We couldn't even find the street. I didn't recognize anything. It just looked like junk. That's not true at all. The streets have names on them. This is just hyperbole, folks. People saying, oh, it was that bad. Well, it was bad, but you could find your street. That's ridiculous. And then I wanted to go over this article I just posted on my Taboo blog today. And here's some of the pictures, which we'll put in the later. You can go through, but you can see and the movie Geoengineering, Geostorm coming out. But here's some of the comments I got right here just in a couple hours ago from Kimmer6. We had more record-breaking rain in Northern California with major flooding than the last 15 years. In February, the Oroville Dam overflowed and threatened to collapse. We also learned a new weather term called the atmospheric river, where after 5 years of record drought, greatest drought in the history of California, the atmospheric river, new climate, brought record rain and snow to California the very next year. Now we followed by record high temperatures and now a record fire. Get what's going on here, folks? California is being targeted. I hear there's fires up in Oregon too as well. I think California just declared a sanctuary city. It's not on Trump's favorite list. I'm not saying Trump did this in any way. This is a much bigger stage than Mr. Trump or Obama or any of these so-called puppets that people talk about as their, quote, leaders. All right, so Mistress Kiki, I was up late last night sitting on my back porch playing on YouTube, not a drop of wind. She's in Alameda near Santa Rosa. It's about 20 miles away. Then suddenly a huge gust of wind whipped through the yard, flung my heavy wooden gates wide open despite them being latched shut. That blast of high wind lasted several hours. I saw bright blue flashes in the sky, too. That's what I saw as well. Zero thunder and never saw lightning bolts. Agreed. So I just assumed the lightning storm was happening really far away, but I was wrong. An hour after the wind started, I smelled smoke. Definitely smelled like wildfire. It didn't have the choking, nostril-searing smell that burning plastics, carpet mattresses, and paint give off in a straight structural fire. Vicky McFadden, she's talking about in her area in Montana to Canada, looking on Google Maps, we see every fire lined up exactly ... along the mountain ranges. She's talking about this summer with record fires up in Canada and Washington and Oregon and Wyoming, Montana. All wind blowing directly into the population. I can't understand what's going on here, but it looks like man-made fires. Nature doesn't line up fires next to each other for hundreds of miles, blowing all smoke into the population. Anki Warrior. I didn't leave. I'm still in Rincon Valley. This is here in Santa Rosa. There was no wind. I was working in my driveway all day. Went to sleep, woke up to a phone call, and I was in the middle of a circle of huge fires and gale blowing. Also in Bay Point, West Pittsburgh. I went to the Safeway around 11:30, and right when I got pounded, I saw a huge flash in the sky, and it caused a blackout maybe 5 to 6 blocks in our neighborhood. I wonder if it was related to the sparks you mentioned. I wonder. Wisdom Keeper. I felt strange frequency prior to the winds. So did 2 of my friends. It was like a switch that would turn the winds on and off multiple times. This is the pulsing effect, folks. This is the plasma machine. This is the way they activate the storms, by the pulse of the electromagnetic energy. These are electromagnetic pulses they're doing of directed energy weapons, DEW, or they're like laser directed beams. This has happened twice before, once when the Harbin hot springs burned down, and once last year with winds just swirling out of nowhere. Then a strange energy went through my house as well. It felt like a portal of some sort. This was definitely intentional. I agree. Rain on Latin. Anaheim Hills in Orange County on fire too. Disney evacuated. Here San Diego's on fire too. Live in Northern California, 20-30 minutes from Napa. I went to the Safeway. Oh, we already read that one. The wind out of nowhere last night made me think of the '89 earthquake. The winds picked up suddenly just prior to it. I smelled smoke, and I knew this area was targeted, and I'm waiting to see if the less desirable neighborhoods get hit the worst. So far, this hasn't happened. Fountain Grove and Montecito Heights, among the nicest neighborhoods, have burned to the ground. That's not true. I was just up there. Sections have burned to the ground, but the most of it is still fine. That's not accurate. All right, 2K Me. Heard at 7 p.m. that the Red Cross here does not want people to donate food, blankets, etc. Things people actually need. They want people to just send them money via their website, make sure funds get where they needed. I'm seeing people bringing to the shelters tons of clothing and stuff, and they're turning people away because they say they have too many clothes. Darren Swift. It was interrupted by an emergency alert on my phone announcing mandatory evacuation in 3 Orange County communities. This is down in L.A. At about 10 a.m. this morning, a couple brush fires popped out of nowhere in Anaheim Hills. They're setting up an evacuation shelter near Anaheim Civic Center where I live. The sky is all orange, filled with smoke. I got my apartment on lockdown. So these fires are starting out of nowhere. They're not lightning storms. They're calling them dry lightning with low humidity. But fire department officials I spoke with, and here in the quotes, they said the same thing. They've never seen anything like it. They're calling it the new normal. And fires just don't spark sporadically around here. They always had lightning, like in 2007, where we had like 2,200 lightning strikes in the Mendocino County, another geostorm. So let's get over to the rest of this and get to the pictures. Here's an article, Fires Burn Hotter with Nanometals in Chemtrails. So they've been spraying for decades with aluminum metal into the air in the nanoparticulate matter. And it gets in the trees, it gets in the soil, and this is why the firefighters are seeing the flames just combust on them like heat, like superheated, because of the aluminum from the chemtrail spraying, from the geoengineering. They say they've never seen fires like this before, but here we're seeing the reasons why, and so it's up to each of us to go and speak with our fire department guys for their own safety too, and let them know we're dealing with a brand new scenarios of fires that are being caused with the help of geoengineering and pouring heavy aluminums into from the air into the soil over decades. And the firemen I talked to, they told me to a person they'd never seen fires like this, and they couldn't explain where it came out of nowhere. They're calling it dry lightning. Oh, give me a break. Fires just don't start on spots out of nowhere and just spark and start a super intense thousands of degrees fire and not burn trees and then go 20 miles away and do the same thing when there was no storm system coming in. There was those blue flashes in the sky that several other people besides myself saw. This is weather war terrorism, folks. We need to wake up to our new realities, and we need to bring it to the attention of our public officials who are in harm's way as our duty to help protect them and help protect everybody else. Because this is what one fireman said, or one CAL FIRE chief said, is the new normal. God help us.
This just doesn't make any sense. Where's the glass? Where is the glass for this thing? Do you know what temperature glass melts at? Glass melts at 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now look at this. Tell me where this fire entered. Where did this fire come from? It's green around here. Maybe it came from here, but I don't know. This is, it doesn't make sense. It's all white. Where's the glass for these cars? None of these cars have any glass. And look at the wheels. See the bottom of the wheels here? I'm going to show you in a minute. When these tires melt, when cars catch on fire and the tires melt, they have these like copper wires. There's no wheels, and they just are all fried. But now look at this. You can see the goop down here from, there's stuff down here. But now look here. Here we have twisted metal, which is also from something we experienced in 9/11, isn't it? See this twisted metal? This is a big I-beam. You know? Because it doesn't make any sense how this fire burned. These trees weren't burned. So this wasn't a forest fire. You can see it burned through here. But these trees are fine. How did it cross the street? How did it get through here? This is an island. This is like a little court island. So where is this fire coming from? None of this makes any sense. So let me just show you some more pictures. Look at this.
70, 79, 76, I think we had here a minute ago. So about 79 degrees. Let's go up to the deck. So here on the deck, again, it's 84, 87 degrees, 85 degrees. And here in direct sun, we're seeing it's reading 158 degrees, 71 degrees, 171 degrees, 175 degrees.
What did it say?
You want to know?
I left my home in Georgia, May of '63. Traveled to Virginia to fight for General Lee, but I can't fight this morning. I must be southward bound, 'cause Jenny's in Atlanta, and Atlanta's burning down. From Gettysburg to Richmond, oh, I've thought long and hard. Far away in Georgia, Sherman's in my own backyard. So I'm living here this morning. my Jenny, any light, and the light is burning down. Atlanta's burning down. Atlanta's burning down. Jenny, any light, and the light burning down. Just like you, love, fussing and fighting. Well, it ain't nothing new. But for a little while tonight, everything gonna be alright. When that good time feeling comes around, yeah. Well, I can't get enough of that wonderful stuff that makes me feel so.
So in closing here, it's also the cui bono who I spoke about in the last video about who benefits. Here you see Kramer, these stocks will get a boost. Why stocks have shrugged off Hurricane Harvey. RV stocks rally. Home improvement stocks to buy in the mayhem. Profit from disaster capitalism, folks. That's who it works. Now you're wondering, well, how can insurance companies make money? Well, they have reinsurance companies. They have catastrophic bonds and reinsurance and risk transfer. It's layered on layered on layered. They make money either way. Disaster capitalism, they make more money. And here's our favorite Costco. They're selling emergency supply kits for $1,000, $3,000, and $6,000, $6,999, I think it is. But they profit from disasters, disaster capitalism, and many, many do. So it's very advantage. They have weather derivatives, stock exchange, and the commodities exchange in Illinois. So they make money. They manufacture the weather, and they make money on the weather derivatives. They get you coming and going. Anyway, there's a plain truth out. I hope this woke you up that this was totally a geoengineered, man-made event. We're not out of the woods yet. These storms can get combust and keep going for days as the Fort McMurray, or even a month or two. So just heads up and on a swivel, everybody. It's a brave new world we're facing, but we're waking up as to what is going on in this weather war terrorism. Speak out, share this with people. Don't be afraid to speak. I'm talking to firemen and police now, and they are waking up. This is a time of great awakening. You were called for these times, folks. Don't get down. Don't get depressed. Don't close in. Help your neighbors. Speak out. Do a clothes drive. Donate to people you trust that can help. This is going to be, and get yourself prepared. Get your own prep kits. Get a pickle barrel, a 40-gallon pickle barrel. Fill it with water. Get some food supplies that you can last a few days as well. And then get a bug-out kit that if you just had to grab one thing, what would you grab? Have it in a bag already, ready to grab and run out the door. This is weather war terrorism, and everybody's in play. There's no one that's going to be safe. Both the Hurricane Harvey storm came at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, just like this manufactured directed energy weapon storm here in Santa Rosa came out of nowhere, middle of the night. That's how they roll. That's the way they're going to do it. We'll just have to dance to the music and do the best we can. All right, and don't forget to love one another, because in these trying times, people can become very, very selfish. All right, that's it for Plain Truth. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace all. Peace.